All right. Welcome back to the Corporate Refugee podcast, where we explore real stories and real strategies behind leaving corporate life and designing freedom through structured entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Chris Tucker. Today's guest is someone who has built not just a business, but a movement. I'm joined by Erin Fletter, CEO, founder, food geek in chief of Sticky Fingers Cooking, the kids' cooking school without walls that has helped more than 200,000 young chefs discover the joy of cooking, learning, and creativity. Erin is a serial entrepreneur with 30 plus years in the food and wine world, co-owner of Denver's acclaimed Michelin recognized Barolo Grill, author of children's cookbooks, creator of thousands of kid-tested recipes, and now leading one of the fastest-growing youth enrichment franchises, 20 territories in 2 years, 70% women owners, 50% diverse owners, and she still finds time for terrible food jokes, like, what vegetable should you never bring on a boat?
A leak.
All right, let's dive in. So, Erin, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Chris. I'm super excited to be here on the Corporate Refugee podcast.
All right, sweet. So yesterday was Women's Entrepreneurship Day. Did you know this?
Yes, I sure did. I sure did. There is a big celebration in New York City at the UN, and Women Entrepreneurship Day is, well, in my world, it's every day. But I am pleased that November 19th is Women Entrepreneurs Day. And I love the newsletter that you put out yesterday, Chris, on LinkedIn. And I agree that numbers we celebrate aren't just statistics, they're humans. Like we're all, like so many women entrepreneurs, we're mothers, leaders, dreamers, risk takers, rule breakers, immigrants. I mean, grandmothers. I mean, we are the global majority. Women are the global majority in the population in the world. And for women who choose not to wait for permission, but to build the lives that they want and the legacies themselves on their own terms, that's what Women Entrepreneurship Day is for me. Women also just naturally, I believe it's in our DNA to uplift and support one another. And I have found that to be true in my entrepreneurial business journey. And so as a founder and a mother myself, leading a female-powered franchise system, I feel proud and responsible to keep paving the path forward.
Yeah, that's amazing. Let me ask you a question. You've been an entrepreneur for so long. So were you ever in corporate?
Nope. The answer is no. No.
That is amazing. Good for you.
No, I think I'm too much of a rebel for that. So no, I've always kind of forged my own path. I've always been what is called a classic visionary.
Well, good for you. What was the moment you realized this should be a franchise?
Yeah, well, Sticky Fingers Cooking from day one, I started this business with an idea literally at my kitchen table in 2011. And it was never meant to be a one story, one location idea. I started with $5,000 that I couldn't afford to lose, my husband and I. And so it was always built to scale because I knew that if we could get it right, that what we would do and the impact that we would have would be really important. I also needed to create a business for myself and a revenue stream for my family. So that was also, fear and pressure leads to grit. And it also is an amazing driver for longevity. So the franchise didn't come from a business plan. It came from the belief that all kids deserve to learn how to cook and explore new flavors and to trust themselves in the kitchen. It also came from a genesis of knowing that we needed more female business owners. As I said, I started the business bootstrapped. We still are today from 2011 up until the pandemic. And we had organically grown into 3 states, into 5 territories, 5 major markets. By the time that the pandemic came around in March of 2020, we had hundreds of employees in 3 different states. So as you can imagine, our systems had to evolve to make sure that we were operating our very important business of kids and food to make sure that we were safe and effective and all of the things. And when the pandemic hit, for the first time, I Googled female business ownership statistics in the US. I had never done that before. And I was shocked and horrified at what I found. I found that we were indeed the global majority, that females, usually are about 51% or more of the population in the world. Here in the US, we're about 51, 52% of the population. We own about 41% of businesses, which honestly, I was like, well, that's not too bad. And then I looked and then I dove down even further, and less than 2% of female owned businesses, it's closer to 1.5%. Their businesses gross over $1 million a year. It's abysmal. And this is because of so many factors. It has, access to capital, investment opportunities. I mean, so many things lead into that very, very, very low percentage of less
Mm.
than 2% of female business owners that gross over $1 million a year. So this really didn't come from a business plan. Our model had already worked in 3 states. We had already cooked with tens and thousands of kids. We are non-brick and mortar, so it's quick and easy to scale and grow. And we set out unapologetically to create more female business owners and grow Sticky Fingers Cooking at the same time. So it was a perfect vehicle for us. We knew that moving forward. Our female executive team and we went all in. It took us 18 months to really develop the franchise model, which is an entirely different business than Sticky Fingers Cooking as a cooking school operation. And we have not looked back, and we are just thrilled with it. The franchise industry, when it works well, it is a symbiotic relationship. We cannot be successful without our franchise owners being successful, and vice versa. And again, going back to our initial conversation about Women's Entrepreneurial Day, is that we just tend to support and uplift each other, and so we are just built for the franchise industry.
Mhm. Well, it's a great story. Thanks for sharing that. So what inspired the cooking school without walls model?
I love being creative, and I would say that creativity is one of my superpowers. And I also, I kind of alluded to being a little bit of a rebel. So when somebody says no or gives constraints, I find that an absolutely delicious challenge. When starting Sticky Fingers, not even having one school or one class, I knew that I wanted this to be an after school enrichment model. A, because it's so good for kids just to be able to stay in their second home, their school, stay after school and try something new, be curious about something, whether it's a new language or art or science or a new sport. And they don't have to profess that they're going to be the next greatest expert at it. They just get to try and to dabble and to be curious. So that's amazing. Number two, for parents, it's a no-brainer. You get an extra hour or two in your day. You know that your kids are doing something worthwhile. And so that's how I was introduced to after school enrichment. I was like, this is fantastic as a busy mom of 3. And then I put on my entrepreneurial hat and I thought, wow, okay, wait, if we're teaching in schools, that's essentially, it's non-brick and mortar. There's no build out. I'm not paying rent when I'm not teaching classes. My overhead is very low. I can focus on quality. I can focus on growing and scaling. And I can essentially have my business in every school in Denver and Boulder. That's how I originally thought. And so this cooking schools without walls made a lot of sense. My husband is a restaurateur, and so
Mm.
we own multiple businesses. We co-own an internationally acclaimed restaurant here in Denver. So we have a very traditional business. We have a brick and mortar that's highly successful. I'm so proud of it. And we are constrained by those walls. Fingers Cooking is constrained by no walls. I had to I knew that there'd be red tape if we were needing to cook in an actual kitchen. So I immediately said no to that and created a cooking kit where all of our chef instructors would have a very portable, very easy cooking kit that they could transport from their car to wherever they're teaching, whether it's a school or a summer camp or community center, and very easily teach multiple classes a week with this little cooking kit and use all of our recipes.
I'm a former franchise owner of a wellness studio, and so I got into a 10-year lease, and so And now I'm a franchise consultant, and there are so many constraints and costs associated with that lease that your franchise owners don't have to deal with. And now, as a franchise consultant, I really appreciate that model to kind of scale quickly, get started quickly, and not have those legalese and those costs. That's so amazing. It's an amazing way for franchise owners to start out with that sort of model. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and it's being a franchise owner yourself. It's terrifying. I mean, it is so hard to start a business, especially from scratch. As we know, 80% of small businesses fail within the first 5 years. The franchise model completely reverses that statistic on its head. 80% of franchise owners are thriving after 5 years. And I will also point out that anybody that starts any business, franchise or otherwise, it's terrifying. You're putting in it is a leap of faith. You're putting in a lot of your money and your resources to create the life that you want, and so you want to be able to start that business and start reaping the fruits of your business as quickly as possible. So I agree. We don't have that traditional lag time that many brick and mortar franchises experience with having to deal with site visits and real estate and build out. And again, in the last 5 years, my goodness, the fluctuating costs of literally everything from building materials to food, right? It's just all over the place. So we're very proud of our model. And again, we didn't reinvent anything. This is how we have been operating since 2011, just perfected our systems, and we're sharing this with our franchise owners.
That's amazing. So let's shift to leadership. How does optimism show up in how you lead?
Optimism is everywhere. I'm trying not to lead with toxic positivity, because I think it sometimes you can overdo the positive and the optimism, but I always believe in the win-win. I always believe there's a solution to everything. And so I would say that my leadership style is equal parts creativity, optimism, and being pragmatic. I think it's really important. My job is to paint a vision with one hand and to build systems with the other. But again, we don't do anything alone in this world, Chris. And so we have just an amazing team of talented women that are on the team with me, and we do this together.
Oh, that's great. What leadership muscle did you need to build most?
That's changed. It's just I would have a different answer for you every single year of Sticky Fingers Cooking, because and so maybe that answers the question now that I say it out loud. Maybe it's to be able to be flexible and also to identify the priority, because from starting with $5,000 and just a whole lot of grit and a whole lot of confidence, going into 100 schools where 95 of them said no. You're out of your mind. Nobody's ever heard of this before. My leadership style was very different at the beginning. Then when we started to grow into other states as a privately held business and a company, I had to shift my leadership style there as well. And now being in franchising, I am also having to shift, and in every single phase of our growth. So right now, I would say the thing that I'm focusing on more is to be less flying by the seat of my pants and more being grounded, taking a moment to really make sure that my team is feeling secure, that we're overly communicating with our franchise owners, and to be very pragmatic and systematized. So that is something that is actually a little bit challenging for me as an individual. And so that's something that I've been learning to slow down.
Gotcha. Now let's talk about lessons learned. What mistakes do new franchisors make most?
That is a fantastic question. I can only speak from my brand, but I will say that our brand just initially speaks to the heart and the stomach, I suppose, too. But people are drawn to our mission and what we do. We're a social enterprise. So philanthropy is baked into what we do in every system and every process. We've given $1.5 million back to schools that we work with. So we just naturally attract big-hearted people that are looking for a change and really want to make a difference and really feel good about the job that they're doing. We spoke earlier about I've never been in corporate America. We our best franchise owners are those that came from corporate America. I'm time and time again, I'm just hearing their stories. A lot of people didn't love what they did, or they didn't feel what they did made an impact. I haven't lived my life in that way, and so I learned from them. So I would say that the biggest mistake is that this is a business. And so people that come into Sticky Fingers Cooking, and I would say maybe this is franchise agnostic, whatever brand you choose, is that it is a business and you need to be organized. You need to be focused. You need to have business acumen behind you, or at least really wanting to be coachable and to learn and to follow the systems and to be uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable start a business, to do anything new, to learn a new language is uncomfortable. And so to be comfortable with being uncomfortable and learning new systems and knowing that this is a business and a social enterprise, but it is a business.
Why do you think it is that those that come from corporate America are your most successful franchisees?
They understand systems, they understand processes, they understand timely communication, they understand how to lead a team. So, Chris, all of our franchise owners, they own and operate 1, 2 territories at Sticky Fingers Cooking. It requires 2, when it's mature, 2 full-time managers. That's it. Usually one of the managers is our franchise owner. But then they have a team of anywhere from 20 60 chef instructors that are going out and teaching all these classes. So to be able to be a leader with part-time employees, to be able to go and outreach and to have relationships with schools, to be professional, all of these things is what is really a cornerstone of being in corporate America. And so it really does lend to, we see um, that these franchise owners that have that corporate America experience, their learning curve on our business processes is swift and fast.
The other thing that strikes me as a guy who is a corporate refugee himself of 18 years is I look back at the transition from corporate America into business ownership. And despite my challenges with being a franchise owner, being a business owner was amazing from a freedom, a time, a purpose perspective. So I personally, when you say this about how successful your franchise owners are that come from corporate America, I think about that perspective that they have and that it just gets them so excited to own this business and then to have the energy and be able to share themselves in this way with these people that they're making money in the process doing. So that's kind of what I look at when I think about the success that your franchise owners have that come from corporate America.
Yeah, spot on. Yeah. Yeah, spot on. I agree.
What did you underestimate in the early days?
Mm. I underestimated in the early days and even today. This is something that I struggle with, but I'd say one of my early missteps was believing that I had to do everything myself, because I kind of did. But that was 14 years ago. And that is a hard habit to break. My father helped launch Sticky Fingers, and we worked together for over a decade in building Sticky Fingers Cooking. And he's a serial entrepreneur himself, and he would always tell me this. And sometimes I wanted to hear it, but sometimes you don't have to be the source of everything. Like, people don't have to come to you for absolutely everything. You don't have to have all of the knowledge, and you don't have to, it really comes to that delegation. The brand got stronger the moment I let in more voices, let in more hands, let in more big brains. And I would say that today, if you ask what my business model is for success, it's one sentence: hire people better than I am.
Hmm.
And that's really what I do. We teach our franchise owners the same thing. We train them in how to start and to run their business with having all of these different roles within their businesses delegated to different people, so that it's not just landing on the owner or on the one single operator, because that stress can be insurmountable. So I'm getting better at it every single year and not doing everything myself. And like I said, the Sticky Fingers Cooking is stronger because of it.
What early misstep became a gift?
Hmm. Oh, that's a great question. There are so many. From the beginning, I would say all of the constraints that I received as far as, okay, this is crazy. You cannot, nobody teaches kids how to cook, A. No, you can't go into every school in your community. Everybody's going to say no to you. You can't cook in a kitchen. All of these no's and all of these blocks really kind of, again, it lends to the creativity, and it really made me think out of the box, which is my favorite way to think. And to my second favorite word, my first favorite word is I'm sorry, curiosity. My second favorite word is simplicity. And you need a business that has vision and focus and to be simple, but you can't get to simple without boiling down and distilling a whole lot of complexities. You know, that the early missteps of trying to do too many things and trying to say yes to everybody, like, oh yeah, should we do adult cooking classes? Oh, should we sell products? Oh, should we do this? Should we do that? I mean, it was fleeting, but you know, trying to say yes and to please everybody. I don't know if that's Chris, but we teach kids how to cook, hands-on cooking from scratch, not in a kitchen, thousands of kids a week. And every single week of the year, we're writing a brand new recipe with curriculum. And we've been doing this for over 14 years. We have thousands of recipes. Kids never repeat a recipe. And these are not macaroni and cheese. These are not cupcakes. This is not
Mhm.
ice cream. The kids are making Ethiopian wat stew. They're making pad thai. This week they're making bok choy scallion pancakes. They're doing things that are not considered kid food. So in the early days when I was really leading from a place of scarcity and fear, I wanted to say yes to what everybody wanted. And everybody was saying kids want sweet food. Kids want this, kids want that, all of the things. And when I learned to shut that out and just to say, nope, we are going to have one focus and we cook with kids in schools, their parents aren't allowed. And we are going to be sticking with this curriculum that people think is not kid food. And we're going to continue this. That's when we started to take off. And I still do that to this day. You know, when we started our franchise brand, we worked with the best consultants. I'm so thrilled that we did, and the best attorney teams, and they were questioning us left and right because they're just like, this is not a typical franchise. This is not a typical business, and almost wanted us to change a few things. And when we said, no, this is our focus, and we're going to be promoting and telling women that we have this franchise opportunity and we have a very clear mission and goal, it still leads me today. So the misstep, to summarize all of those words that I just said, was that is to really just focus and to not try to please everybody and to not try to be everything to everyone, because
Mhm.
that is impossible.
Yep. Well said. All right, let's help future owners. What qualities make someone a great Sticky Fingers owner?
First of all, you got to love kids. That's a prerequisite. You really got to love kids. Really, you don't have to be a chef. You don't have to be, that's okay. We teach people how to cook, but you really have got to love kids. You really have got to love being on a team. One of we have 5 core words at Sticky Fingers Cooking that are our core values. And right directly in the middle is community. And because we can't do anything without community, we teach our classes in schools and community centers and public libraries and summer camps. So we need the buy-in for the community just to run our business. Within Sticky Fingers Cooking and within Sticky Fingers Cooking franchise owners, we have our own community as well. So the second biggest thing that we look for are people that love a community and love being part of a group and a system, which leads to systems. You know, people that love to be organized, they love following systems, people that love to connect in their community, that you don't have to be an extrovert, but somebody that likes to go out and to meet new people and to outreach. We're a relationship based business rooted in hospitality. So looking for people that love the business process and then also love connecting with people. I would say those are the 3 main drivers.
Okay. How do you screen your candidates? Do you use any tools?
We sure do, and I was so happy to see that in your previous podcast that you interviewed Rebecca Monet from Zoracle. We
Mhm.
We happily have used Oracle from the beginning, and so we do that. We also we have a wonderful Julie is our franchise development lead, and she's unbelievable. And we have systems for everything, and we have a whole process that takes people through the awarding of from learning more about Sticky Fingers cooking all the way to the awarding of a territory. Our entire executive team at some point is in that process. We all meet candidates, we all get to know them, we all vote, we all have a say. And so, yeah, we have a very organized process, and Zoracle has been very helpful in that process to make sure that there's a cultural alignment and a fit, also with skills as well. So that's been very helpful for us.
Do you guys use franchise business review at all?
We don't, and I love that you said that. I was just interviewed to I was just introduced to Franchise Business Review this week, and I have a meeting with them next week. So
Yeah, I love them. I love what they're doing. I think what they're doing is amazing.
yeah, yeah, we're looking forward to maybe getting an external assessment and all of the things. But I'm in the early stages of learning about what they do.
Cool. How do you guide first-time entrepreneurs?
This is kind of gosh, I mean, you want to light me up? Let's talk about this. So we love helping to shape and to create brand new business owners. And so we take a very holistic approach. So we have a lot of touch points. We have every single week, every Tuesday, we have open office hours where everybody from our executive team, our social media team, our PR team, every department, we are available, and we have open office hours on Zoom where all of our franchise owners can meet with us at any time, at any and talk about anything. We have a breakout room. So we're always available for our franchise owners. And this is after they have a very in-depth training process and support as well. Also, our COO, Kimberly Douglas, she leads monthly peer groups that, topics at hand, that all of the franchise owners get together. We always have 100% participation. She just had her peer group today, and they're talking about different struggles that they have, or obstacles, or how to solve a problem. So those are spectacular, and we have those every single month. I have a monthly roundtable that I host with all of our franchise owners, and again, we typically have 100% participation in those. And this is where I dive into emotional intelligence, relationship intelligence, kind of the AKA soft skills. I call them superpowers of being a business leader. And we talk about what business leadership skills. So we look at an individual holistically and really making sure that they are feeling confident as an individual and as a leader.
I love it. All right, let's explore the human side. What's your favorite kid comment?
Oh my gosh. I think this is always going to be my favorite kid. I mean, I love Sticky Fingers cooking. I love what we do. And now that we're growing and we're nationwide, I mean, every single day we're getting these amazing kid quotes, and kids say the best things. Kids are the best customers you could possibly have. But for me individually, it is this. I was substituting. This was years ago. I was substituting in a classroom, filling in for one of our chef instructors here in Denver, and we were making black bean burgers. And of course, I had written the recipe, but I introduced myself. I'm Chef Erin. I'm so happy to be here. And so this is what we're going to be making. We go into the whole curriculum and everything, and half the kids are clutching their throats. I hate black beans. I don't like black beans. Being very
That would be
dramatic.
me.
Yeah, okay, there you go, right? Okay, yeah, there we go. And so being very dramatic. And so we're just preparing this together. You can decide if you want to eat it at the end. And of course, this is the magic behind Sticky Fingers cooking. If kids make it, they try it. It just always happens every time. And part of our curriculum, we tie in food history, which is always tied to global history. We talk about nutrition. So in this particular case, we were talking about black beans, where they grow, how they're harvested, why they're good for your brain to eat and your body to eat. And then we talk about the cultural significance of where the recipe comes from, or the global significance of where it comes from. And what's really important too is really bad jokes. As we started this episode with, So we have our own proprietary technology platform, very robust. It runs 85% of our day-to-day operations at Sticky Fingers Cooking, including our franchise owners. It also has all of our IP. And Chris, we have a database, a library of bad food puns and jokes. And every single recipe has at least 20 bad food jokes. And this is because it's kids. So I'm doing back to the black bean burgers. Now the kids are trying them. 100% participation. They're eating it. Now they're asking for seconds. And so I thought, oh, this is perfect. I'm going to throw out some bad jokes. So I'm throwing out these bad jokes, getting groans the whole time. The kids are munching on their black bean burgers. And this one little girl says to me, she was 6 years old, and she said, Chef Erin, who writes all these recipes for Sticky Fingers Cooking? Oh my gosh, guess what? I do. And she said, it's a good thing your recipes are 100% better than your jokes.
That's
That is
amazing.
the favorite. That is my favorite thing that anybody has ever told me, and such a great compliment.
Exactly, exactly. All right. So other than singing Red Hot Chili Peppers, how do you find peace?
Oh, my husband loves the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I find peace, that is such an individual thing. I really dislike the word balance. Balance is nothing that you can actually obtain, but I try to strive for some level of harmony. Being a business owner, being somebody that is completely manically driven by my need for growth and newness and creativity, and being a wife and being a mother. What works for me is I strive for harmony. And so
Mm.
travel is a huge thing for me. It's a huge passion instilled in me by my mother at an early age. So if I don't have a trip on the calendar, I tend to get a little itchy and anxious. I've learned that about myself, is to always have something to look forward to. And in that case, it's a trip or a vacation or an excursion or an adventure somewhere around the globe. My second way is daily. And for me, that's yoga. For me, that is where my mind chatter goes down. It's where I'm fully kind of present in the moment. And it's something that's very, very important to me. I would say that everybody that I work with on the leadership team, they know if I have gone to yoga that day or if I have not.
Mm.
So that is something that I build into my schedule, because that is something very important to me. And then it's no surprise to anyone how I also find peace and unwind and relax is through cooking, believe it or not. I love making my family dinner almost every night. I find complete joy in it, and it's how I show my love.
That's amazing. Well, talking about travel, maybe you could think back to a trip that you went on that you weren't really thinking much of it, but it blew your mind and it was amazing. And where were you?
Mhm. I would have to say that it was the first trip that my first big trip that I ever took with my mom. My mom was an amazing woman, and I'm an only child. And when I was about 12 years old, she became a travel agent, and this was in the 1980s. And
Aha, this is where it comes from.
yep, and it was in the 1980s. I'm an only child. She's a single mom, and there were these things called FAM trips, familiarization trips, where companies or airlines would send travel agents in the 80s to various parts of the world so that they can then sell to their customers, whether it's a hotel or resort or a package or whatever it was. And I luckily was always her sidekick. And the first place that she ever wanted to go, she had a very, very, very challenging and difficult upbringing. And she told me that when she was a little girl, she went to the library and she stole a National Geographic magazine. And there was a photo of Bora Bora, Tahiti in that magazine, and she taped it in the back of her closet. And whenever she was overwhelmed with living in her family life, she would go in her closet and she would stare at that picture and say,
Mm.
there's somewhere, this is on the same planet that I live on. And this is amazing to me. And maybe one day I'll live to see this place. So she decided that that was the first trip that she was going to take me on,
Wow.
and at the time I'm 12, I was probably indignant, and I was probably all the things that 12-year-olds can be. And I didn't really realize the impact, but I realize the impact now. When we landed, there was only one hotel on the island of Bora Bora, Tahiti. It had just opened. And when we got off that plane, which I think held 4 people, she fell to her knees and she cried. I mean, it gives me shivers today.
Hmm.
And right at that moment, without realizing, it really shaped how I saw travel, how I saw connection, led to us spending 6 weeks in Africa and 6 weeks in Thailand and all over. All I've been to all 7 continents, mostly because of my mother. And to be able to sit across the table from somebody in Africa, not speak the same language, but share a meal,
Mm.
it's amazing. You get to know who you are. I mean, food is the universal human connector. So that first trip in Tahiti was just like very, very powerful, which I didn't recognize as much as a child, but it really shaped who I am today. And it really shaped what Sticky Fingers Cooking has become and evolved into.
That's amazing. Has a recipe ever taught you something deeper?
That so one of the things we have 3,000 recipes, which some people find excessive. I find is great. We keep. It's like asking a painter if they're going to run out of things, ideas on what to paint. The answer is always no. And one of the things that we really needed to think about was we're doing all of these exotic global recipes, but one of the challenges is that, we don't expect any of our chef instructors or our families at home that want to recreate our recipes to have to go to a specialized market or to order something online. And so we use all ingredients that you would find in a traditional American supermarket. I would say that every single recipe that we do is always a challenge every single week because, like, for example, I brought up Ethiopian food. Injera bread is, I don't know if you've ever had it, Chris, but first of all, it's so fun for kids because Ethiopian food is meant to be eaten with your hands. So to be able to tell kids, like, no
Mm.
utensils, and
Yeah, now we're talking.
yeah, and the vehicle, the most delicious vehicle and your utensil to eat your food is the Sinjira bread, which is a soft, spongy kind of flat bread. Absolutely delicious. And it's meant to ferment with teff flour. You probably don't have teff flour at home. And it's meant to ferment like a sourdough for 48 hours. Well, we have an hour and we're cooking with kindergartners maybe. And so how do we go about doing that? And how do we do this with ingredients that you could find from Kansas City to Miami to Seattle, right? And so each recipe teaches me that what we're trying to do is to introduce these global flavors and to be as authentic as possible, but also being able to that our job is to deliver something new and new flavors to kids in a way that they can recreate at home. So to not be worried about following the rules exactly. Because when you're dealing with kids and food and now scaling this giant business, you have to be flexible and you also have to break some rules. So I always say we have one of our franchise owners, his heritage, he's Korean. And it's just like, okay, your grandmother might be horrified by some of our Korean recipes, but she might be very proud that thousands of kids across the US are making Korean food this week. But it
Hmm.
won't be maybe necessarily authentic because we need it to be able to be sourced easily and
Mm.
accessibly because we want our families, we want the kids to try to prepare something in their Sticky Fingers classrooms in their schools, and then to go home and say, I want to make kale pesto, or I want to make scallion pancakes, or whatever it is, and that it's accessible enough for parents to be able to bring their kids into their own kitchen.
Yeah, that's a great way of doing it, I think. All right. So, what moment made you think this is why I built this?
I can answer that in many ways from the lens of Sticky Fingers Cooking, countless stories, but I'm going to choose to answer this in the lens of franchising. Myself and everybody at headquarters here at Sticky Fingers Cooking, we knew that we wanted to get into franchising because we wanted to help make dreams happen and to see lives change. And you can have that concept and you can have that idea, but when you actually see it in action, I mean, it's that same moment of when my mom fell to her knees in Bora Bora, where you're just like, this is actually happening. Chris, now that we have 2 years under our belts, We have 20 territories. We are seeing some of our franchise owners exceed our expectations in the level of success that they're having, in how many classes they're teaching. One of our franchise owners, herself, her team, they're running over 500 classes a month just in her territories. She has a goal to exceed 800 classes a month this coming year, and she's going to be doing that. She is seeing a level of success that her family has never seen before, and that and this is from many of our franchise owners where their lives have fundamentally changed and they're able to provide to their families in ways that they have never been able to do before, all from managing this business from home. And then also creating the impact of feeling great about what you do every day and a change leader in your community.
Mhm.
So for me, I am as passionate about teaching kids how to cook as I am to see our franchise owners standing on our shoulders and achieving success greater than we ever did in running our own territories because we were building all the other things. So to see our franchise owners succeed is mind blowing. It makes
Mhm.
me fall to my knees.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, let's zoom out to franchising trends. How do experiential education, women entering franchising, and mission driven models intersect with your growth?
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing, I will say I'm a baby in franchising. So, and what I've seen in the last few years that we've been in the franchise industry, I am seeing more and more women enter the industry. It's becoming a vehicle that women are realizing that can really work for them. I also, in addition to my business, my one sentence business plan of hiring people better than I am, I also firmly believe in working with advisory groups, having peer groups. So I'm in no less than 3 monthly franchisor kind of forums. And one in particular is all female founders. And so there is a movement of a lot of female franchisor founders that really see that and they're seeing great success. They're also seeing that a lot of women are looking to enter in the franchise industry and at a rate that has not previously happened. And these are women that have been in the industry for decades or like myself just entered. And we're going to be a force to be reckoned with. I mean, we really are looking at how to work together and to make some real change and to create some really wonderful opportunities for not just women but men in general. So what I'm saying, like I got together with 7 other female franchise brands, and we hosted a podcast all together where we were talking about each other's brands and inviting people to any of our brands. We had one of our franchise owners. He's in New York City. He came to us because his best friend, who's also a female franchisor, she recommended Sticky Fingers to him and he became a franchise owner. So, again, that just lends to the connectivity, the supportiveness that the franchise industry already had. But putting women into that as well, I think you're going to see a lot of changes, a lot of positive changes in the next decade.
Are there any states that you guys are not in terms of where you could go into at this point, given FDDs and such?
Yeah, we're open everywhere. I mean, not necessarily Hawaii because or the Dakotas, simply because of density. So what happened, like Sticky Fingers Cooking, we work best in urban environments. You want to have a lot of schools, a lot of kids. And that is our business model. And so typically an urban area with at least 600,000 residents typically lends. It's what self to Sticky Fingers Cooking franchise business ownership. With that said, we're open in every other state because again, we're non brick and mortar. And so and we started this business and grew ourselves into 3 different states. We have been Zooming before Zoom was a thing. So
Mhm.
we're very comfortable supporting and launching people remotely, and that is what we do. So we're open with the exception of a handful of states that it just
Mhm.
doesn't make sense with
Mhm.
population. We're open nationwide,
Okay, got
including California, including the hard ones, California, Washington State,
New
and
York.
yeah, and Illinois. Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha. Out of curiosity, from a corporate perspective, are you guys more distributed across the country, or are you guys in all of like, are you in an office in Denver and everyone's in there? How do you work corporately?
Yeah, so I, again, don't love the word balance. I think that's unattainable, but I do love the word harmony. And so everybody in our corporate headquarters, well, just about everybody, not everybody, but we're all based in Colorado, and we do have an office and we do get together in person, but we all work remotely. And again, all of us are also parents and moms, and so we all work and make this magic happen without the rigidity of being chained to a desk.
That's amazing.
And that's also what we teach our franchise owners too. I mean, that's how they run their businesses too. 100% of our franchise owners run their business from a home office. Yeah.
That's a great way to do it. What shifts, if any, are you seeing in schools?
Well, COVID was a big one. And so we are seeing a shift in schools with being a lot more open. It's really interesting having an education business that's nationwide. We see a lot of different schools, public, private school districts, and some school districts are really open to adopting to change and others are not. So the way that I look at this is just like there's just tremendous opportunity everywhere. And some of the things that we're seeing with school districts are and schools in general is that getting back to community and getting back to having their own culture and inviting people from the outside in, we're seeing that happen more. Where that was a really kind of evolving up until 2019, and then everything had to change because everything had to change, and we're seeing that now opening up again, which I really like. Really inviting parents into school functions, outside outside vendors into school functions. And I think that is wonderful. We're also seeing, after school enrichment it is a $22 billion sector that nobody really realizes what the growth potential is. And this is something that schools desperately need. They are looking for support. They're looking for enrichment. As public schools budget cuts are just happening left and right, they are looking for ways to engage their students. And so after school enrichment vendors such as ourselves are really becoming more and more important into children's education.
What's the biggest opportunity in 2026?
The biggest opportunity in 2026 for franchising or for Sticky Fingers?
However you
Or
want to answer it.
Yeah, the biggest opportunity I would say is that for anyone looking for a new business and to start a business, I believe that 2026 is going to be the year for franchising. Just with everything happening politically and otherwise, there's so many people that have experienced so many layoffs that we're seeing a tremendous amount of people that are ready to get off the roller coaster and to really take hold of their own destiny and their own career. We're seeing this every day with people that are contacting us, and I know that we're not alone. Again, this is franchise agnostic, and 2026 is going to be the year for that.
Mhm.
I think more and more people are going to be looking into franchise ownership. I can feel it. And all of the data and the indicators are pointing in that way. The biggest opportunity for Sticky Fingers Cooking is that we are firmly in, phase 2 of growth, meaning that we are a proven concept. We are feeling very confident in where we are in supporting our franchise owners. And we now have a platform where we can bring on more franchise owners more than ever before. We practice responsible franchising. We are not bringing anyone into the system that wants to come in. We vet, we have ongoing communications, and we award territories to people that we think that will do really well and also promote our brand. As a CEO, my number one job is to promote and to protect the brand. With that said, we have developed even more systems, and we now have a platform to grow even more. So we're looking to possibly double our footprint in the US in 2026. So the opportunity for more people to speak to us about franchise opportunity, it's there.
Mhm. All right. I have this Corporate Refugee podcast Spotify playlist, and I'd love to add a song that is meaningful to you in terms of you being an entrepreneur. Do you have one off the top of your head?
I do. I've started doing a lot more public speaking, and I love doing keynotes, and I love speaking in public. And like most people, I get I get nervous. I think that everybody does, and you get a little
Hmm.
stage fright. And so my go-to song that I maybe listen to 20 times before going on stage to pump me up is Unstoppable.
So the second woman that I interviewed in this, who is in that article that you read, is Alexa Centeno, and she had the same one.
Alexa and I are good friends, apparently. We're sisters. But that is the song. And I will
Hmm.
listen to it over and over again. And man, does it pump me up.
Yeah, it's a good song. All right, on to the lightning round. So I'm going to give you some quick questions, and then you're going to give me some quick answers.
Okay.
A recipe every kid should learn first.
Pasta,
A recipe every adult should learn first.
eggs,
Favorite global flavor for kids.
any Asian food.
Most unexpected parent feedback.
How come my kid doesn't clean up the kitchen at home?
One cookbook every home should own.
New York Times, all encompassing. I can't remember the name of it, but the New
Hmm.
York Times cookbook.
Okay, cool. Dish that represents your mission and why.
I would say really any of them, thousands of them, but I would go with, I brought up Ethiopian wat stew and injera bread. That is pretty out of the box.
Mhm.
And why? Because it represents that when you have a focus and that you're confident in that focus and you don't listen to what kids are supposed to like or not like, it's proof that you can grow something really, really big with an out of the box idea.
I love it. All right, let's bring it home. When you think about the legacy of Sticky Fingers Cooking, what do you hope people say about it 20 years from now?
I don't hope this is what they're going to say. I know in my bones that we're going to be a household name and trust.
All right, well, this has been incredible. Thank you so much for your leadership, your creativity, your heart, and thank you for being with us on the Corporate Refugee podcast.
Thank you, Chris. It was amazing.